afternoon, and welcome to this edition of the Referee Show here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me, I have two of CONCACAF and FIFA leading officials in our region in Mianza and Caleb. First of all, thank you very much for taking this opportunity to bring us up to date on what your developments have been on the international stage. So, Caleb, what's new on the horizon for you?
Hi. A lot was going on actually. I recently got the announcement that I was appointed as a official for the World Cup in Qatar, and it's all coming fast and furious. We had a course recently to give us the tools to prepare for the upcoming World Cup, which is in 6 months. So from now until then, it'll be preparation mode.
And not to be outdone, Mianza, for you as well. What's new on the horizon for you? There's some big news for you as well.
Yes, afternoon, everyone. For me, it's that I am also appointed for the Women's Under U20 World Cup. And before that, I have to go to Mexico for the Women's Championship. Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, let's start with you, Mianza, being that your mic is open. Starting out, you would have had ambitions of getting involved in officiating. This opportunity now, what does it mean for you, and how you can explain it to someone who would have said, why are you getting involved at the beginning of your career in officiating?
Can you repeat the question, please, again?
Sure. What you being appointed to this under-20 Women's World Cup, what does it mean to you, and how would you explain it to someone who doubted you as you were getting started in your officiating career?
For me, it is a big thing because for me as a woman referee, assistant referee in my country, and also in coming from the CFU and CONCACAF, it is a big thing. I will not say I didn't expect it because I work hard, and I get a lot of support from CFU CONCACAF. So it is a big thing to be appointed for the World Cup. And you hear the name, it is a World Cup. Even if it is a youth Women's World Cup, it is still a World Cup. So I have to be prepared, and it is still tough to be there, to stand there with a flag and to represent our association, my country, myself, CFU, and also CONCACAF. So it is a big thing. Yes.
Now, Caleb, when you get an email or phone call of any, just to inform you that you're going to Qatar, give me the first minute. What was that like?
It was overwhelming. It was exciting because it's something that you've been thinking of or expecting for a long time. I mean, I started refereeing maybe 16 years ago, I believe, and ever since then, the dream was to get even to even be considered. As a huge accomplishment, a big dream, and not just for me, but for my friends, my family, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Caribbean. I know it has been a while since Caribbean officials have been selected, and it's good now that we have three who were selected, and that is a huge deal. So just taking in that news was a lot and overwhelming to begin with.
Definitely, definitely. Now, everyone knows when a country qualifies because it's a big thing, but as an official, you still represent that country. So bring that pride of your country, going to a World Cup. And Mienza, as you've already indicated, it's a World Cup. It could be under 20, it could be under 15. It's a World Cup. It's the biggest event for that age group, for that sport. But wearing that country pride on your shoulder, for you, how does that make you feel, Mianza?
Proud, the first place proud, because we in Suriname, small community, it is not easy to be one of the officials going to a World Cup. So um, I have to feel proud, and also my country, my association, also feel proud about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Caleb, you touched on it a bit, but what is the neighborhood like? In celebrating that someone from within their neighborhood is actually going to the World Cup.
Yeah, it's I mean it's a big deal. A lot of people are now reaching out to me to contact me to congratulate me to the whole neighborhood where I live. They're always congratulating me, giving me well wishes. For my country is also a big deal. I know it's the national team hasn't been to the World Cup since 2006, and in terms of referees, we have had previous referees at the FIFA World Cup, but the last time a referee has gone to the men's senior international World Cup was 20 years ago. So it has been like 2 decades in waiting for this moment.
Sure. Well, we're joined by Rohan Thornberg. Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Something's wrong with your audio. I don't know. You did unmute, but we can't hear you. You may want to try to. Can you talk now? No. Just try to go out and come back in and see if that fixes your audio on your machine, or turn the volume up on your computer, and then try that. Oh, he's gone up. Okay, so okay, Caleb, you did say that you've already started preparation for the World Cup. So what are some of the things they initially want you guys to be able to do to prepare for? It's later this year. It's in November for us. That's a little different, but what are some of the things they're doing to ensure that the officials are fully prepared for whatever may come about?
Well, obviously, first thing, as usual, is always the physical aspect, the fitness aspect. You have to be at the top of your level. Am I still there?
Go ahead. You're right.
Checking. So yeah, you have to be obviously at the top of your level. Yeah, you'll be at the top of the game to be considered, and it's more than just fitness. You have to be medically fit. You have to be always in touch with your coaches to improve. One of the things I did recently was analyze what state we're at. So what we have to do to improve our different levels of fitness, whether it be endurance, stamina, strength, these different aspects. So they go in very detailed into those aspects as to how can we be in the best shape for what is considered to be the best tournament in the world, I guess, in almost any sport, because the FIFA World Cup is one of the biggest tournaments in the world.
Mm-hmm. And Mienza, for you, obviously, it's under 20, but it's still one of the biggest deals for these ladies. What are you expecting to be doing in preparation for the tournament? You say you got to go to Mexico for the championship. So how did that transition work for you?
Same as what Caleb just said. Fitness aspect is one of the biggest thing, and after that you have the field sessions, because you still need to be prepared for the games, not only for the fitness test, but also for the game. And so I have to prepare for fitness test. I have to prepare for a physio test. So all of that I have to prepare for both big tournaments, because the Women's Championship I also see as a big tournament in CONCACAF. So I have to be ready for the championship and also for the World Cup. So
Sure.
everything counts. Yes.
Rohan, let's see if we can hear you now.
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me now?
We're hearing you as well. So we have these two who are going to respective World Cups. Obviously, Caleb going to the Men's World Cup, and Mienza heading to the Women's Under 20 World Cup. How does the training aspect change for them now that this bigger step? I know, regional things are big steps, but this is one of the biggest steps that one would take in their career. So how does training or what you do change for them?
Good evening to both of them and congratulations. Really proud of the fact that they have been appointed to the World Cup, and they'll be representing us all. It's very good. As it relates to their preparation, I know that they have been going through a series of programs, but one thing is going to be important. The program now will have to be geared at getting them to, as we would say, peak right at that point where that competition is going to start. So there's a series of periodization that will take place, and as you get closer, then specific training will take place. Like specific, I heard Mahensa mention it earlier. Specific on-field training, not just physical aspect, but the whole integrated aspect of the training, which is going to take place closer to the time, and that's how it is going to be treated.
Now, because they're representing all of us in this region, we really want to see them do extremely well and do themselves proud. But following them, helping them, guiding them, giving them advice, just being around them. What as an instructor, how does that make you feel that you've worked hard with individuals who have now reached a pinnacle, a World Cup?
To be honest, words just can't explain, and I would tell you that there is no amount of remuneration that gives you the joy of seeing persons in and around your circles that reaches that level and will be performing.
Now, Nianza, for you, just take us through some of your highlights of games in which you feel you got you rewarded for the hard work that you've put in, and you've been assigned to big matches. So what are some of those big matches thus far you've done?
I just did the under 20 final, the under 20 championship final, and before the final, we had a course, and I worked so hard. I had 3 matches back to back, and after that, I had a week of only training. So I was thinking, oh my God, I only have to train without getting a match. But I still put in the effort, and after that, I received the appointment to do the final. So I had to be the best of all the games I did before. I have to put in the best in, and we did it. It was a great game. And before the U20 championship, I also did in 2018 the Women's Championship final. That was also a big final between USA and Canada. Was also the same. When I received the appointment, for me it was, hey, you need to put the best of the best, because it is a final. Not only because it is a final, but because they are watching you, and you never know what will come in. So I always try to put in my best.
Sure.
Yes.
And you're being rewarded for doing that. Keep up the good work. Caleb, for you, what's some
Yes.
what's some of the outstanding games you have been awarded because you've worked so hard at making sure that you stand out and they take note of you?
Well, as I say, the reward for hard work is more hard work. So in I would say the last 2 years, just coming out of the pandemic, were the most critical. And I worked so hard to achieve my accomplishments. And in 2021, I believe I had an incredible year with a lot of difficult challenges, including Gold Cup. I was on the semifinals. That was between Mexico and Canada. Nation League finals, which was probably one of the toughest games I ever had between USA and Mexico. I just remember it had been for about 3 hours long because of all the different stoppages and intermissions, and it was so long. It went into extra time and whatnot. And
yeah, I remember that game as well. Seemed like it went on forever.
And coming out of my Gold Cup performance, I would have been rewarded with 5 games. I was sidetracked to do a lot more tougher games as well. World Cup qualifiers. I remember doing USA Mexico again recently. Um, and then now that I have been appointed, I know going forward all eyes are going to be on me, so that in my future appointments, I will have to keep that level high or even push the bar further to see how far I can go.
Sure, sure. And Rohan, let me ask you, because we see the game on the field becoming so much more technical in the way coaches approach the game, and the style of football has changed dramatically and so forth. And one of the things we noted a lot is the mental approach of the game. So the officials, because they fulfill the same thing, they have to make decisions. They carry nerves as well. So behind the scenes, how not just the physical part, but the mental part. How is CONCACAF, FIFA working with officials on that aspect of their game?
The psychological aspect of the game is very, very important. And if you ask me, it is far more important now than the actual physical and the technical aspect of the game. Why? Teams have improved scientifically. They have been a lot of different things are being done by coaches and teams. Hence, the reason why referees on a whole have to be prepared by trying to get information as it relates to these teams. How do they play? The style of play, the type of players that they have. So it's not about just going onto the field and training. It's about getting the information about these teams and preparing it oneself. I'm pretty sure when either one of these officials gets an appointment and knows about the team that they are going to be seeing, they think about this game. They play this game in their heads probably 100 times before the actual game.
Mm-hmm.
That is how serious it is, and they can tell you it takes a lot of concentration. It's very, very important. And for me, if they can have a sports psychologist that can actually work with them going forward, then this will add a whole lot to their preparation, mental preparation.
Sure, sure. And, I mean, you guys were around before communication on the field got to the technical part where it's at now, where you can talk to each other and communicate a lot better with each other. That transition for you, how did that work for you, Caleb? Now that you're able to have the devices and you can talk. Before it was eye contact or hand signal or something of that nature.
Yep. I will have developed in the basics without the technology aspect of communication, body language, and eye contact. These things will always be forever part of my game. But now that we have tools to add on to it, it's just things to make your job a lot easier. But I also want to go back to what Ron mentioned about the psychological and mental aspect. It's so critical that you need to have a strong level of mental toughness in this game. A lot of situations are being thrown at you, and you also have to communicate well on the field with your team of officials. As well, Mimi and I, both assistant referees, we have to communicate our decisions, or what we see to the referee, so that the team can come up with the correct decision. So it's so important, this psychological and mental aspect, that a lot of people might think it's just fitness, but you could get any fit person, you could get any person who knows the laws. But then our next dimension will be then that mental and psychological development.
Definitely, thank you for that. Mienza, for you, when you started, we would have been in that technology, or you would have started prior to the technology. And if you started prior to that technology of the communication, what was that transition like for you?
When I started, it was in Suriname. We still work without the technology, but when I start doing international game, I became familiar with the technologic part, and it was a big transition for me, easier because sometimes you, without a communication system, you try to communicate with the referee, but sometimes, for example, she's not looking, and you try to communicate, but with the communication system, you can talk, you can, in seconds, you can both make a decision. Teamwork, it is easier to work with that. So for me, it was a big transition and easier. Yes,
Mm,
but still, you still need to keep in mind that the old system, you still need to work with the old system, because sometimes you can hear, for example, communication system fell out, so you still need to go back to the old system to still communicate. Yeah.
sure. And Rohan, when you're doing your teaching, or your lessons and so forth, how much of that are you making sure that they are aware of that technical part? The communication is so vital, whether it be the communication, the devices may not be working for a period of time until you get to halftime where you can get that fixed, but then you now have to go back or revert to that eye contact, that communication with the body language and so forth. So when you're doing your work, how technical are you with ensuring that they understand that anything can happen in a game?
One thing
The
we
last
need to,
sentence again. Oh.
That's for
one thing we must remember, the basics never leaves us. It's always there. It's the foundation on which we were built, and it will always be there. So the most important thing for, I would say, to the officials are always remain calm. The technical aspect is not working. The basics will always be there to work. I will never ever fail.
Mm. So Caleb, if you had a chat with a 15-year-old Caleb Wills, what would you tell that Caleb now? What would you tell Caleb 15 when he was 15 about this journey and what he can expect?
I think the chat with him will be the same like I have with myself today, because I will just tell him, keep believing in yourself. You can achieve a lot. And even though you have achieved a lot already, you can achieve even more. So just keep believing and trust in the process. Listen to your mentors, your coaches, and you will never go astray.
Mm. What about you, Mienza? What would you tell a 15-year-old Mienza about your journey?
Kind of same as Caleb. If you want to reach something in this life, you need to believe in yourself, and you need to put in the work. Don't underestimate yourself. Go for it. Do your best, put in the work, and go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rohan, in your position, I know there's probably been more than a handful of people that are relatively good when you first see them, but lack that confidence in their ability to just be themselves and get the best out of them. So what's some of the things you've had to do with others to ensure them that they are on the right path? They just need to have that confidence in themselves and they can go places as an official.
Well, Caleb and my hints, I said it just now. First and most important thing is believing. Once you believe in yourself, having the confidence, then others will guide you along the way. For me, setting various goals, short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. But without belief and confidence, you'll not achieve anything.
Mm, mm. So what advice would you have for someone who kind of has the tools but just doesn't have that self-belief? Is it where we start to get a mental coach on board to try and help them to figure out what that stumbling block is?
Yes, definitely. Because the sooner we get help for that person to find out what is causing that block, then the better it is for them.
Mm, mm. And Caleb, clearly going to the biggest stage in football, this year for you. What do you know about Qatar, and just what are you expecting there?
Well, I had the fortunate experience of being in Qatar last year, November, for a pre-World Cup course. And I've seen how it is. I've seen the climate. I know it's insanely hot. There's a lot of deserts all over. So that is one of the main things that will be playing on your mind, the climate, the heat. I know that they purposely position the World Cup in winter time, which is will be a lot colder, but it still will be intense. So you have to get ready mentally, and just kind of feel fit. So maybe if it's physical training, you can simulate that back home, maybe training in the similar climate as it would be in Qatar. Um, I know I have also experienced the culture a bit. I know there's a lot of it's in surrounded in desert. There's a lot of big buildings, a lot of people with with a lot of wealth, and so just kind of feel, just to get a feel for what you're going to be in is how I'm going to visualize and mentally prepare myself for being in that situation.
Mm. And Mianza, well, we know you're going to do the championships in Mexico. It is extremely warm there as well. So you've been there before, obviously, but what do you think you're going to encounter there outside of the football itself, outside of the game itself, but just you being ready for it?
And the last sentence, can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, how do you plan to be ready for whatever is presented to you in Mexico, heat wise, conditions wise?
Uh, yes. In Mexico, some of the cities are cold and some of them are warm. And in the city that they will play the Women's Championship, it's kind of sometimes warm, sometimes cold. So I also already start since in when I see that CONCACAF already launched that the Women Championship will be played in Mexico and which city. So I start training the same kind of weather, sometimes early in the morning to feel that coldness, and sometimes later in the morning to have that hot sun to can so I can train in both kind of weather to be ready, because you have to do that, and the players are also doing the same thing, so you have to be above the game. So that is one of my preparation, and I also start looking how the games, how the countries are playing. Also for the World Cup, I already start checking how they are playing, who are the fast players, the good striker. So all of that is also important for your preparation. When to be
Sure.
seven has the ball, you know what to do, because you know the opponent is coming, and also to be ready, yes, to be prepared. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Rohan, Mr. Calm demeanor, Mr. Relaxed, but I know you're intense when you do your stuff. But how when you're looking at especially young people, because I could say this because you've been in Bermuda several times, and I've seen you work with a lot of our youngsters, helping them to develop into the officials that they've become today. But that work you do with them, and the calmness in which you kind of get your message across, how do you generate that? How do you get them to understand the importance of it significantly, but in the manner in which you deliver it?
It's about it's a methodology in terms of how you get things across, and breaking it down for them to understand what the benefits are for the things that they do. Um, for instance, not all referees have the same needs or wants,
Mhm.
so we have to identify those and then separate them and work on persons that have individual needs. But persons is human nature. Referees are normally getting out there and training generally without being specific. So, gradually breaking it down, slowing it and changing it, because they'll have to adapt to this new training regime. But you have to be gradual in your approach. And then once you break it down and be gradual, you're going to buy into it and realize that what you're doing is to help them to improve. Just I heard Mehensa mention about Mexico, where the air is thin. So if your intensity that you're used to working at, now you're going to Mexico, no, you have to raise that intensity. You have to prepare that body. Because when you get there, once you prepare yourself now, when you get there, you'll be ready for it, rather than going there and the body has to adapt.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to congratulate both of them as you have, Rohan, in being from the region and going to represent all of us at the respective World Cups. We wish you all the best. We'll be watching both the under-20 women's and the men's World Cup, and hopefully see you on the screen doing this proud. You've got a lot of work ahead. Still a lot of work to be done. Rohan, how much work do you have with these, particularly with these two? Do you have anything involved with them in preparation?
No, I don't think immediately. No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, they have other instructors and so forth, but I'm pretty sure they'll get everything needed to be prepared for those monumental tasks at hand. But Rohan, let me let you have the parting advice for these two in their respective World Cups.
Let me go from leading up to the World Cup. Your training programs are going to be geared at getting you to peak at those tournaments. Try following your program as best as possible. 2, be careful as it relates to the surfaces that you train on, because you want to avoid any form of injuries and anything of that nature. In the gym, don't overdo things, because some persons will tend to want to overdo things, do a little bit more. But please be careful. Going into the tournament, your level of concentration is going to be at the optimum. And I would implore you that you ask your federations to have a sports psychologist, or if, from your part, a sports psychologist from time to time, to give you that guide. It is important. You are the best, and that is why you have been appointed. So in that manner, we are all behind you. If there is some doubt with anything, reach out to your instructors, because we know you're going to go there and we know you're going to do very well. So take all the support that you need. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask, and success will be yours. All right.
Thank you very much, Rohan. Congratulations, Caleb. Congratulations, Mianza. All the best in your respective World Cups. Folks, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good night.
Thank you. Bye, Rohan.
Bye. Take care.